Ricky here with Breaking Your Barriers on our segment, Hanging Out with Local Heroes. And today's local hero is a friend of mine, Veera Mahajan. Now, I want to give you a little background about Veera. Veera is a published author. That's right, you heard that right. She's also on social media, and if you want to know what that is, it's called Coffee with Veera. Veera is going to be sharing with us conflict resolution because I call her the anti-abuse specialist. And with that said, I'm not going to make you guys wait any longer. Veera Mahajan.
Thank you.
Veera, would you like to go to show that book real quick so that they see it?
This domestic abuse, this unreported crime, and learning how to live free is a journey. So,
So that's
this book is more of a guide for anybody who's been through that or is going through that, all different stages of domestic abuse. And it was written because of that. At the end of my divorce, I'm like, okay, I'm free. Now what? I've been free. So what do? You talk to the people who are in where you want to be. So I interviewed a lot of people who had gone through domestic abuse of some either, different races, different cultures, even genders, reverse abuse, people may want to call it, but it's either way, it's abuse. Mostly it's from man to woman, but there are some, oh my God, some scary women who will really, abuse you and insult you and demean you and all that stuff. So that's why I wrote the book, and that's where all the lessons and the advice came from. So this is a little how-to book. Also, the other reason why I wrote this book was when I was going through divorce. Oh my God, if anybody has gone through that, you know how horrible it is. And my lawyer said, uh, I'm not your counselor. She couldn't answer some of my questions. She's not a counselor. So I hired a counselor per her request, which was a really good thing because she kept me grounded and strong and made sense. And one time I remember she said, why do you try to keep convincing yourself that he cares? He doesn't. And I'm like, oh yeah, that is the fact. I keep giving all my financial things just because I was so hurt. How could you do this to me? How could you do this to me? And so I was just like, just sign the paper, just take away everything. And he would just take it. Anything. I mean, it was so weird at the end. I was like, you just took away one time. I literally went out of the house crying and I said, you can have everything. And he said, you said you can have everything. So I was going back and forth from the counselor to the lawyers, and lawyer was not my counselor was not my lawyer, and crying everywhere, right? On the way and there, and then on the way back and on the other side. So I have a lot of those tips also in this little book. Little book is done very much on purpose because it's a book that you can read, give it to somebody, not very expensive. Online, it's only $5. Also have it on audio, on ebook, like I said, and physical book I can send to you. It gives you everything from understanding what abuse is. Some people don't even understand abuse. One of the story in this, which was shocking, was I was talking to this one person who I was interviewing, and she asked me about sexual abuse, and I said, no, that did not happen. She was like shocked. No, you didn't have to do that, because she was being raped every day by her husband, and she literally had to get out of her body to be able to survive it. Just lay there like a dead person, basically. And so she could not believe that anything else could be called abuse. So people don't even understand how many ways abuse happens. Then another shocking, again, even for me, even after I wrote this, my editor, she's editing, and in the middle of it, she calls me. She says, now I know why I was feeling so bad, because lack of sex is also an abuse. People use that against you, withhold if they know they could be having anywhere else. But if they know you're starving for it, they hold that against you, use that against you, and that's also abuse. So there's so many different ways you can be abused, subtle ways. Anything that makes you feel bad about yourself, makes you scared of the other person, that is abuse. So that is like a test. There's a garage door test I have in this. So that's what I mean. In this little book, there's so much information. It's a guidebook. And garage door test is, and I have tested it over and over, and people have challenged them to ask everybody, and they ask and they come back and they say yes. If a garage door opens or a front door opens and you know your spouse or your partner is coming home, what do you feel? Are you happy, excited, or are you scared? You're
Ah,
gathering your things, you're putting the kids to calm down, daddy's coming or mom's coming or whatever the scary thing is coming, right? And that is an amazing test. If you are scared, you're not happy, excited that the other person's coming home, you are in abuse.
thank
Otherwise, why should you be afraid? You should not be afraid of anybody coming home. You should feel good about it. They should make you feel safe.
right.
Like my ex, I used to tell him after, I mean, this is horrible and sad, but after beating my kids or sometimes even beating me, he would go at the middle and end of the night, set the security alarm on. I'm like, what the hell is that? Who's that for? The person we're scared of is in the house.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And literally after that, I sometimes have to remind myself to set the alarm on, since I have the service off, might as well take advantage. But I feel so safe that I forget. It's not a good thing to do, but sometimes I forget to close my door, and all day or even at night. But I feel so safe. I feel so safe. I don't have anybody hurting me inside the house.
Good.
And I think that makes me feel, I mean, it's an amazing novelty for me for a while. And the first time, let's say 3 months after I moved to Malibu, one day I woke up and I'm like, wow, it's been 3 months. I never haven't cried.
Peace.
And yeah, and that also shows that I had never gone 3 months without crying for one thing or the other. And that just made me like, I actually just came here temporarily to see whether I'm going to like it here or not. And that was one of the big decisions. Like, I am safe here. I feel good here.
Wow.
And the first place I heard people say, oh, it's all good. I'm like, really? It is? Is it all good? I like to be here. This is a nice place to be where it's all good.
What you do has to do with pretty much conflict resolution, and you've become a master at it. Now, my question is, and obviously you've had ridiculous experience. Number one, your own husband,
Before that, I had my dad. So
your dad too.
yeah, that prepared me to accept it from my husband. So that's the reason that I do what I do now,
Yes.
and which is talking to moms to teach them how to make their children empowered so they don't accept bullying from anybody. And also, of course, that's half the story. You want to find out why the bully is bullying. Sometimes they are being bullied somewhere else at home. Yeah. So see, you have your story, and then you think that's the only way to have some power, to
Right.
be the other extreme. And that's not necessarily the case, right? They are not being heard at home. I've talked to kids at school because I was teaching mediation at schools. You said the master, I have a master's degree in mediation and dispute resolution from Pepperdine, and I also have a master's in spiritual psychology from University of Santa Monica,
Very good.
and my own life experiences and all that. And, a life of, I call myself an expert on abuse. As I told you, I wrote the book about it. And so I combine all that and I help children. I'm become really good at seeing the red flags. That's also in the book, the red flags. So that you can be aware, okay, this can happen.
When these people do what they do to you, and after all of the abuse that you've already gone through, has this made you a more understanding person, a more patient person? What grew inside of you that made you even more positive and an advocate for something so powerful as being a mediator for conflict?
Well, as a mediator now, I am very sure that if both sides agree,
Mm,
a resolution can happen. Mediation is not good for people who are just going to be bullies. They have to agree to mediate. Both sides have to want to have a resolution. And there are rules within mediation that we set up right up front. They have to be respectful. They have to be, of course, there's a conflict. Of course, there are problems that misunderstandings or
right.
pain points that the other person, they either actually have hurt them or there's a feeling of that, there's perception of that. You have felt hurt, whether the other meant to or not. Like so many people say, I didn't mean to hurt you, but you did, right? And then they apologize, but they always have that ifs and buts. If you have an if and but, there is not an apology.
No.
Apology has to be, there's a way of, there's a whole another thing that I can teach you how to apologize. So all those things I use in mediation, right? And that's how you try to resolve. Sometimes people just need to be heard. Like one person just yells and speaks and the other person just shuts down because they want this yelling to stop. That doesn't mean they agreed to whatever you're saying. They just want you to stop the yelling. They just want you to stop the abuse. Once they get a chance to be heard, the other person gives them a time, because there's a mediator who's a neutral facilitator. We have nothing to gain out of that. Where whatever you guys need to split or have a relationship or not, but be able to coexist. And that's what I teach children too. You're in a class, you're disturbing the class by fighting. The teacher can't teach you. You're not gaining what you're paying for, or your parents are paying for, or okay, not paying, but coming to school for, right? And in any case, you're wasting your time, teacher's time, everybody else's time who's not involved in the conflict. So we take them out, we talk about it. Sometimes we find some problems which they've been carrying around for years, if they've been together for years, or some things that they're bringing from home, preconceived ideas that if I don't do this, this is what the result is. So we try to resolve that, right? There was a kid who was stuttering at school, and everybody's just, that was part of his physical disability.
Right.
But once we figured out what the problem was and why he was always in other conflicts, he's such a sweet child. And he didn't understand why people didn't like him, because he was just trying to overpower. That's the only way he thought he could get attention.
Defense mechanism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And once that conflict was resolved, which was a big conflict at home, and we were able to resolve that, stuttering went away. Can you imagine that?
You're amazing. That's amazing.
I
You are. I kid you not.
Thank you.
Now I'm gonna call you what you are. You are an anti-abuse specialist, and the reason I'm gonna call you that is because that's exactly what you are. Now my question, and this is going back to your days of being the abused, being the one who was not heard, being the one who's not listened to. Did you ever have a point after all of that abuse in your life, mental, physical, emotional? Did you ever have a point in your life where you wanted to give up, where you became depressed, where you wanted to transfer it onto something else?
Well, I danced and I run. When I'm outside, I just love to run. I mean, now I'm kind of living in the hilly area, so it's walk run. It's not as much run, but I have 2 dogs, so it's perfect that I get to walk, run every day. I go to the beach, or I walk on some hills or trails or whatever, all kinds of possibilities here. But I have been running for a while. Before that, I was doing workouts and dancing. I just love that. And also, my whole thing is I don't want to waste my good moments for the bad moments. Why should I waste? In some ways, I was living a double life, you can say. We could be fighting at home. You go to a party and you dance like you're the queen. You're the center of the party and you're the party, and everybody's like, oh, now, Veera and the Mahajans come, and then now the party starts. And we all kind of learn how to do that.
Yes.
But I'm still so glad that some people who just carry this one little nag and they share it with other people, and people don't want to talk to you anymore, because nobody wants to come to a party for depression. They come to just relax and enjoy. Otherwise, what's the point? You make an effort, right? Whenever you go meet someone or you go do something, you're making an effort to get out of your home, get ready, go somewhere, and you want to enjoy that. So I had built this insight, or whatever you call it. I'm not going to waste my good days for bad days. Yes, I have bad days. I have those things. I got to deal with that. And I waited a long time before I even divorced, because there was this fear, there was trauma, there was no support, and it's on me that I did not look for more support. Now I tell people there's all kinds of support available. Go look. Like some lady I just talked to before I came to talk to you, that she is in Texas. She is in a horrible place in her family situation. She doesn't have any money, which my job, I do my job, counseling and coaching, and I do charge money. But I couldn't even think of asking her for money. She's already in a sad place, right? And I'm not going to just abandon her without giving her any hope. So I did spend some time with her. She's in Texas. So I said, I don't know in your area what is available, but I'm going to give me your zip code. I'm going to look for some things and give you at least a starting point. And either they'll be able to help you or they'll be able to guide you where to go. And she was thankful, and I hope she does. I'll follow up, here and there with her. But yeah, you can't just everybody's doing a job, and of course we spend a lot of time and money to get here, be educated, and the experiences that we have and we share, and it is our job. But it's also our job to help. Like, that's why you are doing the interviews, that's why I'm here talking to you, that hopefully somebody who hears us and knows that there is a way out, you know.
I'm letting you guys know, ladies and gentlemen, whoever you are, if you landed on this channel by accident or if you're meant to be here, I'm telling you, Veera is gonna leave me some information that I'm gonna post in my information section. So when you click here, if you need to get in contact with her, if you have to ask her any questions, it's not all about the money. She wants to genuinely help you from the bottom of her heart. So whatever you guys have, if there's something she can help you with, don't be ashamed or embarrassed to reach out. She's been there.
Yeah.
She can help you. And my next question on behalf of you who are listening is this: Veera, who was that amazing person, people, group that inspired you to move not only from dancing, not only from this negative pain in your life? Who was that inspiration that put you in this spot now that you are helping people?
Well, again, what started my divorce in a way.
Mhm.
That once my kids went to high school, I had a little bit more time. And so I always wanted to help one of these groups, for families and children who support that. And so I started volunteering. And that's where they used to teach us signs of abuse. I never called my life abuse. There's always, you try to give them small names. He's angry, he drinks, he gets upset, he works too hard, then he does that. We give small names to the problem so we can deal with it, right? One thing at a time. But when you call it abuse, then you're like, oh my God, this is abuse. I should not be having it. Then you have all the other education that comes with it and the spiral that they taught us, how you kind of get caught in that and how people walk away when you talk about it. And it's like, and you start realizing how many of your 500 people that you meet in your parties are your friends and how many are just party people. And so in one of those interviews or trainings, they were showing us this video. I mean, I talk about this video all the time. There's this couple who is with another couple at a party having fun, wine glasses, laughing, everything. Then the couple is in the car, right? And the wife is still in the great mood, putting her lipstick on, laughing, and all of a sudden there's a smack, lipstick all over her face. She doesn't know what happened. And my tears are just going down my cheeks, and I'm like, oh my God, I have lived this life so many times. Like, when I don't know how it can go from happy, loving, everything to just down, like helpless, hopeless. You don't know where to go. You just want to stop and die. It can go from this to here, all the way to the bottom in a second, and you have no control over it.
Right.
And even my kids used to say, like, when that starts, we don't know when it's going to stop. You just hope that someday, sometime it will stop, you know? And then I talked to the counselor next to me. It's like, I might be living in abuse. And she says, I can see that. And even from the questions that I was asking within the training, they could guess it, right? Because they had experience. I did not have experience working with those signs of abuse and those red flags. And now I can see red flags everywhere. Sometimes I have to remind myself, it's just a little pink. It's not red. It can be worked out. So I'm not that afraid anymore. In the beginning, every red flag was scary to me. Now I know I'm strong enough. I can deal with it. So like I said, I'm teaching mediation at schools. My principal actually called me back after the whole year of COVID and said, I have to come back to continue the work because I reduced the conflict and violence in the school by 75%. 75%. And some were huge conflicts outside of school that came from outside of school, but it had effects in the school, right? And parents would say, what do you do? They've been fighting for years. They go in, fighting, and they come out smiling. And principal, when the teachers would send somebody, now the culture has changed, right? When the fight starts, they are not trying to kick each other. They're just saying, get away from me. Let's go to mediation and figure this out. And then the teachers would send it to us. And then principal would say, go do your magic. And that's when, we communicated, because I never focused just on conflicts, because a lot of parents and teachers, they would say, okay, shake hands, hug, and go back until the next time you fight, we'll just deal with it then.
Right.
I was always trying to figure out why, you have to coexist at least. The first thing was, I just will never talk to them, because that's what they've been hearing, from their adults. That's how you deal with situation. But that's not the right result always. Like a simple story, about, like you asked me earlier about judgment, or how
Yes.
how the results happen. Mediation is a win-win. Let's say two kids are fighting over a slice of cake,
Okay.
right? And there's only one slice of cake, and mom is like really tired, she's doing her own thing, she has to prepare dinner or whatever, right? She's busy, and all of a sudden she just get the cake, cut it in half, here you go, and you're done. And later she finds the cream, half the cream is in the garbage and half the cake is in the garbage. Like, why were you fighting? Just want to drive me nuts. She's even more angrier now because she called a judgment without asking. One of the kids doesn't even like cream, and the other one only wants cream, right?
Get to the understanding of it. I love that. That's basically
Yeah.
it in a
If she
nutshell.
was a mom mediator, she would have known, here, all the cream for one and all the cake for one. They
Right.
both get the full piece, right? But no, she just was so upset. She's a judgment. She got tired. She wanted them to resolve. They didn't. She wanted them to be perfect kids and not fight, right? And but that doesn't always happen. They both wanted the cake, right? And so anyway, that's what mediation happens, and that's what I'm working on right now. I am actually trying to. I am in conversations with the LAUSD,
Okay.
and because I'm thinking, if I made such a big, impact on one school and help children, why not? I should take it to other children, right? Help
Absolutely.
more children. And so I have sent them my curriculums, and since I was the adult mediator here, and now they need adult mediators with their schools and issues from that community and what those children deal with. So all of a sudden I had to think about, okay, what do I do as a mediator? So I have to have another course for the teacher, to teach
Right.
them how to do mediation, how to teach mediation, how to resolve conflicts, how to hold those circles for the parents to teach them what we're doing and why it's good for school and why it's good for their kids. So I'm writing all this stuff, and I'm in the process of writing a couple of little books for the children. And one, I want to write for more for my children and for myself, that how did we get here? Like, about our parents, some things happen. Our parents were not educated. Like, I did not know that I didn't have to wait that long, right? I waited and I kept my children in abuse as long as I stayed, even though I was staying for them. So they didn't have to go through custody fight
Right.
and be abused where I'm not there to support them or help them. But I didn't educate myself. What else can I do? So even though I don't judge my parents for
Yes.
not protecting me, and I am forgiving myself for not protecting my kids as well as I could have. I did. I gave it all, what I could with what I knew, like even Christ said, they will be judged on what we know, right? At the time. But the thing is, I'm trying to bring that out to parents, how sometimes the sibling rivalry at home brings the fights at school. So many things
Mm.
kids learn at home because one is treated differently. and maybe because one is angry and the mother is just doesn't want that angry kid to be beating the other one else. So she just shuts the quieter more, like the quieter
Right.
is quieted more. So the bully brother will not hit the younger brother, right? But what is the younger brother going to learn?
Retaliate.
Retaliate, or he's going to be just bullied.
Yep.
Either he learns to take it, or he's going to be retaliate and become the bully.
When I was a bully in school, I wouldn't do anything because my mom would say, "Don't fight back." And my dad, on the other hand, would say, "If they hit you first, you hit." So I was conflicted.
See,
And
you don't even know which one to
I didn't
listen.
know which one to
Two
do.
different, yeah, two different teachers, completely different lessons.
Both sides of the spectrum. So I was bullied and I was crying and I was in pain every day. I said to myself, am I going to continue to choose this suffering, or am I going to take matters into my own hand? Which I did. So I became the bully.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
for hearing you and listening to everything that you've shared so far, which has been so much. So for those of you who are listening, listen well. This is golden. This is coming from a bully. This is coming from a bullied.
Yeah. And I loved your speech.
Oh, thank you. That means so much to me.
Yeah.
It's about understanding. It's about understanding one another, and exactly what Veera said, respect. If we would just respect one another and listen to each other's sides,
Yeah.
half the conflict is in that.
Yeah. Yeah. And when kids are young, we don't know and we don't have those mediators.
No.
We have the parents, we have the teachers. They're supposed to be our mediators. They're supposed to be our protectors. And that's what I want to write about. That the title I'm thinking, it's a working title.
Yes.
But you were supposed to protect me.
That's a wonderful
That's
title.
my title.
That shouldn't be a working title. That should be the title.
But you were supposed to protect me, and you don't. You didn't. And they just tried to find a way to hide it, push it under the rug, and move it along. And they think the kid is fine. The kid is not fine.
Nope.
They're holding on to the trauma and making their own decisions how to deal with that, right? Without any guidance, without any lessons from anybody.
Yep.
We're just coming up when we're children. We don't know why we're scared, right? And then we just figure out what to do with it. Either we live in fear from everybody. My mom was one of those people. I used to tell Mom, you are afraid of everybody. For some reason, I don't know. Maybe because I was supposed to be who I am now, there were some things that came naturally to me. And like even during my divorce, people were shocked that we were going through divorce because, like I said, we had this double life almost. Even if we were doing whatever fighting and pain inside, we would go out and be happy.
And you said it great. You were at a party and then all of a sudden, pow.
I know. And some close friends knew that. They had seen that. We had no idea what happened. We're having fun. And he would just grab our arm and say, let's go right now. Let's go. And then there's going to be pain to have. We have no idea what happened. Either something else happened to him or we did something that he didn't like. Anything. And we had to leave. And, but what do you do? These are the things. So that's why I'm teaching moms. Yes. Basically, I'm calling out moms. There are some dad moms, right? But mostly moms. Kids are mostly with their moms. Yes. They can be more of mediator moms than be judge moms or, pushing this quieter person quieter. That's the only way they can resolve conflict. Let the yeller yell and you can just be quiet. The yeller gets used to yelling and he thinks that's normal. The quieter who's meeker and crying, he thinks that's normal. Either one is not normal, right? The yeller and is going to become a bully and go beat his wife, his friends, everywhere else, his children. And then who knows, that whole generation is going to become a different thing. And here a bully is going to just take it from everybody. And so it's both are not normals. No, not good normal anyway. That is a normal. So I'm actually also making a movie for Unreported, the same thing. The message in that is, what is your normal? What is your normal? Is your normal the right normal that you should be? You should be not afraid of anything. Live your life. Be empowered. You know, like now I'm like, I wake up in the morning as much as I work, but it's still me.
Oh,
To me, it's
wow.
like, what does Vera want to do today? And that's what Vera does. Vera doesn't have to be scared of anybody, you know, and that's
And
like
guess
the
what,
amazing
Vera?
thing. Yeah.
You are the absolute spokesperson for this my normal, this my normal, that is not normal. And guess what? The reason why this is so amazing is because that pain became your greatest teacher. That
Yeah.
pain made you who you are today. That pain is going to help people like yourself, generations to come. You're going to be able to educate them so they don't go through what
Passing
you
the
went
good
through.
thing along.
You're passing
Or
that great message along. Is there a closing message that you would like to share with your viewers, our viewers, guests, your friends, your family? Is there a message that you would like to leave? Something even as powerful.
love, and I would say love yourself and respect yourself enough, so much, not even enough, so much
So much.
that you never accept anything less from anybody else. You deserve to be loved 100% all the time, not once in a while. You don't live on the crumbs of love. If somebody loves you, they have to love you all the time, not scare you sometimes and love you the other time, you know. So love is important, but I would say respect is more important. If they don't respect you, they can tell you I love you all day long. They can keep that love. I don't care.
Ooh. If that wasn't a powerful closing message, I don't know what was. Respect
Okay.
and love. You can't have one without the other.
No,
So
no.
that is absolutely fantastic. Vera, it was amazing having you on our show today. You are, in a word, you're awesome.
Thank
And
you.
not only that, you're going to be affecting so many lives. Once again, for those of you who are listening, if you need to get in contact with Vera, she's going to leave me her site, her link, the link to the book, whatever, any way you can get in contact with her. If you need her help,
Yeah.
feel free to look it up in the information section of this interview. Once again, thank you, Vera, for being an amazing guest today and sharing this very needed message because we need it around the world, not only in America,
Yes.
all over the world. Thanks for being on our show. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me.